Hey folks, this is Serra from UserGuiding, and my Duolingo streak as of today is 254 days. And I wanted to know why this makes me so happy, so we're doing a whole entire Duolingo user onboarding UX deep dive today. So buckle up and let's talk about the app with our favorite murderous mascot. First off, what is Duolingo? For those living under a rock, it's a gamified language learning app. In simple terms, it makes learning languages fun. But more importantly for us, they have killer UX overall and onboarding. And that's the real reason why I did a case study of it. So without further ado, let's dive into the UX of Duolingo. Now, from the outside, Duolingo is a super sleek, almost cozy app, but it is hard to spot explicit moments of onboarding with tours and tutorials. How is it so successful at it then? Two simple reasons: guided product experience and simple design with microcopy. But hey, let's have an even closer look, starting with 1. Sign-up process. For mobile, Duolingo launches a 7-step sign-up process. For desktop, it is interestingly 6 steps, with a desktop widget step added and 2 steps about course overview and prior knowledge taken out. This change might be because of the fundamental differences between mobile and desktop, like spacing and format. Some key takeaways from the sign-up process. 1. It is a good strategy to format the contents of a platform according to the format it will be available in. 2. Keeping the sign-up flow concise is important, but this can vary at times depending on the type of onboarding taking place. And 3. Simple-looking UI design and a progress bar can go a long way in keeping users interested. 2. Account sign-up process. Cool thing about Duolingo and sign-up is that you don't need an account to use the app. Of course, Duo reminds you frequently that it might help you track progress better, but it is still cool that you don't technically need an account. Still, if you choose to sign up, which I strongly recommend, the sign-up UX is also really nice. In the end, Duo greets users using their first name, a very first step into a highly personalized user experience. Key takeaways to take away here. 1. Keeping it short and concise is important for login signups as well. 3-step to 5-step signups processes are ideal. 2. When done right, personalization can be a priceless contribution to customer and user loyalty. Starting as soon as possible and addressing users by name is a great practice. 3. Adding sign-up shortcuts like Facebook or Google login might make it easier for certain users and increase activation rates. 3. In-app onboarding. Here comes the most crucial part. Interestingly, inside the app, the onboarding is very subtle. The most prominent onboarding element is tooltips used for user interaction when learning words. While in the rest of the app, the second most prominent element is empty states. Quite a lot of them too. Meanwhile, slide-out models and full-screen models are also used frequently to give heads up, remind, offer benefits, and congratulate. My key takeaways here were: 1. Even when there aren't very big and obvious onboarding elements, little moments in the user experience can be utilized to onboard and engage users. 2. Different types of onboarding UX can be used to onboard users on different stages and as parts of UI. And 3. Rather than using a product tour, using empty states and modals in between the product experience can help avoid user frustration. 4. Email onboarding. So when your app's onboarding is super subtle and app, how do you make sure you onboard successfully? Duolingo has the answer. Users get strict emails every day, reminding them to keep going while also getting notified every time someone follows them and for other social interactions as a part of the gamification system. Now, that might sound annoying, but they make sure to include helpful insights to see how you're progressing inside the emails. Not all bad, huh? My key takeaways from Duo's email onboarding are: 1. No matter how intense or light an onboarding process might be in-app, it is often beneficial to keep communicating with the users on different media as well. 2. Social interactions and especially duly notifying users of these interactions might work as a way of grabbing users' attention on a different level. And 3. Weekly reports that are common in many B2B software emails can be a great way of reminding users of their progress and that they shouldn't lose it. Got how Duolingo's onboarding works? Let's head to their overall UX. 1. In lesson milestones. It is a Duolingo trademark to include little celebratory messages inside the lessons, and they do it quite a lot. However the users might feel about these messages, one thing is for sure, subconsciously we like and need these messages for better learning. But even more importantly, we get to discover some character lore as well, which in my experience made me an even bigger fan of Duolingo. Key takeaways: 1. It is extremely helpful to reaffirm users every once in a while, especially if the product at hand aims to educate users. 2. Images and illustrations help users focus easily, so even when it is not for morale-boosting reasons, it is helpful to use images in the user experience. And 3. Humor and inside jokes can go a long way if your audience is up for it. Don't hesitate to shape your UX according to the user base at hand. 2. Preloader screens. Because of all the content Duolingo offers, there are naturally lots of preloader screens. Duolingo's preloaders mostly feature a tiny Duo animation along with a fun fact about Duolingo or the language you are learning. Key takeaways: 1. It is easily noticeable how tiny animations can make the wait easier. It's the whole idea behind preloader pages. 2. Adding copy and especially making it extra interesting for users can help users stick around and wait for longer while also learning more about the product at hand. 3. Returning user allocation. Lastly, we're talking about one of my favorite parts of Duolingo, which shows their genius in designing user experiences. The returning user allocation UX takes place if a user comes back after a long time. Duo prompts a full screen model to assess the situation and allocate the user the best way possible. This is not only great practice for the sake of re-engaging users, but also for UX reasons. Oh, and of course, user loyalty. Key takeaways: 1. Creating a separate UX for returning users is a way of showing that you care. It is important to give off the right message while also actively retaining users. And 2, returning users UX can help re-segment users and thus make it easier for the users to adapt the app once again. So that was the UX and onboarding of Duolingo, and I sure do have a verdict for this case study. But before that, we need to recognize that Duolingo is one of the most unique cases of successful gamification spread all around the UX. So if we're coming up with a verdict, here's 3 key takeaways for the entire UX and onboarding of Duolingo. 1. Duolingo does a great job onboarding users by hiding the fact that they are in fact being onboarded. There are very subtle and quite scarce examples of onboarding since the nature of the app allows it. 2. Duolingo has a very simplistic and minimally designed UI that lets onboarding UX and other UX elements naturally interact with users. Through empty stage, tooltips, and full screen models, users barely even notice any disruption to their learning experiences. And 3. Duolingo seems to be nailing personalization and gamification, which are the very reason why I felt the need to conduct a UX case study on Duolingo. The more personalized and gamified the app is, the more it retains its customers and gains new ones. To wrap it all up, the UX rocks, the onboarding rocks, Duolingo rocks. And because it is such a unique app, you can't quite imitate its ways, but you can adapt their principles with UX. The more empathy and fun, the better. This was Serra from User Guiding. Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more UX tips and insights, and see you next time!